Welcome to the FilAfrik podcast. My name is Patrick. On today's episode, I have a very special friend, an amazing entrepreneur, Gabriel Egbevurie, all the way from Europe, Luxembourg to be very precise. We'll be delving in on his background, his experience, and everything around finance. Welcome, my guy. Welcome. Welcome to Canada. Welcome to the FilAfrik podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's
my privilege.
Really, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure to hear you. So, Gabriel, let's delve in right away.
Yeah.
Let's know a little more about you. You know, because I know you're a finance coach. You're an entrepreneur. The works are there. The things you do, for the community. So let's hear you.
Yeah. So you already mentioned my name, and I'm Gabriel. I'm also known as a finance expert, a finance coach, with a wealth of experience within the financial space. So basically, I'm a financial consultant. I offer some wide range of services to mainly people, especially Africans, that are so much in need of personal advisory services. Things that has to do with their personal finance, because this is very important. Financial literacy for me is one of my topmost priorities, my passion, because I love to see that people get the right financial knowledge, especially when it comes to their personal finance. This is something that most times we lack in Africa. So it's something that I have always geared my, most of my journey in the financial environment towards, to ensure that Africans are more enlightened, when it comes to areas of personal finances, investment decisions, so on and so on. So I'm more into that, and also I'm an entrepreneur. I'm currently the owner of Gabin's Collection, clothing line that is said
just clothing, like luxury clothing. Right. That is exactly. Well, let's put the emphasis right there.
Yeah. So it's really for men. Having bespoke suits for mainly men, geared towards men. And I'm actually going to be opening another line more for the ladies. So it's something that's still in the pipeline, but I think we'll get to that.
Is it in the pipeline? It's launching really soon.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We'll get there. But then, talking about your journey, right?
Uh-huh.
Can you walk us through how did you arrive where you are? Is it something like when you consider your finance? Your love for finance and coaching people, is this something you were trained for or something you just found yourself doing? What's the background?
It's quite an interesting question, because for me, growing up, I've always been someone that was actually passionate about numbers, right? From when I was young. However, you as an African person growing up in Nigeria, it's one thing to be passionate about something. It's another thing to follow, to see through that you are actually achieving those things that you're passionate about. So for me, one of the things that really helped me navigate my journey was I knew exactly what I wanted, and I knew that quite early, because I was someone that I was raised from a very, I would say, disciplined home. My dad was in the oil sector. My mom was a businesswoman. So it was easy for them to really raise us up in a kind of way where my dad didn't really have the kind of education that he would have wanted. But however, he said to himself, that he only attended technical school, growing up. For us, he told us that he didn't have the kind of education that he wanted, but he wanted to see that his kids get the best education that they could.
Right.
Whatever career you want to really pursue, he was there to ensure that we hit those career objectives. You see, so that in itself was very pivotal for me, because having the backing of your parents to make sure that you go as much to the heights you want to get to in order to achieve your dreams was very, very important at that stage. So I knew what I wanted, and that in itself was what kicked off my financial journey. I was really passionate about numbers. I had my first degree when I was about 26 years old.
So what was your first degree on?
It was in banking and finance. So my first degree was in banking and finance. Eastern Mediterranean University in Cyprus.
Oh, yeah.
And afterwards, 2 years after, I had to pursue my second degree, that a master's degree in accounting and audit. So having an exposure of several aspects of the financial environment, from the banking side of things, to the financial side of things, and then getting myself exposed to the audit profession was something that was also a kind of unique experience for me. And then, of course, I'm already used to the accounting side of things. So, having this knowledge was very, very important,
right,
in my transition into the financial environment.
And I know you're running away from audit, but that's conversation for another day.
Yeah.
Now something interesting, right? Because again, I've known you over time.
Yeah.
You run Gavin's Collection. You also run the FinTax Academy. You're also launching another brand that focuses on ladies.
Yeah.
And hey, it can be said to be overwhelming. How are you managing this?
Yeah, fantastic question. It's when you look at these things, for me, one thing that has always I've always sticked to was I'm somebody that is very goal driven. I'm someone that always wants to. For me, financial freedom is always the goal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get to that phase where I don't have to. When I want to get to do something, I know where the funds are coming in from.
Okay.
And that's one thing I always, when I talk, I have one-on-one sessions with people who are actually wanting to know more about how to deal with their finances. I always say one thing to them. If you are talking about financial freedom, your 9 to 5 is not sufficient. And that's just the reality, because
9 to 5 is not sufficient.
Exactly. So having a 9 to 5 job and the income that comes from the 9 to 5 is not sufficient for financial freedom. Because you just keep going through, it's what we call the rat race. You just keep going through circles.
So regardless of the income, it's still not sufficient?
No, it's not.
I'm just asking for a first. All right.
It's not.
All right.
So until you get to that place where you diversify your the things that you want to do, in terms of your income streams, you have multiple streams of income,
Mm-hmm.
And then you start knowing exactly how to deal with these multiple streams of income, until you get to that level. The financial, I would say the financial literacy or financial freedom is not complete, So for me, that has always been the drive, financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the 9 to 5 is important because it's a step in the right direction. However, you don't want to become, the goal shouldn't be you becoming or work for someone for the rest of your life, because it's like a springboard. I keep saying to people, you can use that as a springboard to own assets, So for me, it has always been that way, in as much that I cannot keep spending the rest of my life trying to build someone else's business.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. You have to. There's a term we call in finance, is mind your own business.
Huh. Is it just in finance?
Yeah,
that's
it's something that is common.
That's our everyday language. Mind your business.
Mind your own business. Now, people might be saying when you say mind your own business, you might think
Keep to yourself.
I'll say keep to yourself. No, it's not what I mean.
So I have a business of mine that I'm minding.
You have to prioritize your own business over someone else's business. That is very, very not every African have this understanding. No, but it's important that for you as an African, moving, whether you are someone based in a particular country in Africa or you are in the diaspora per se, like in a more Western world, it's important to understand that the goal is not to just stay in one box and just work your 9 to 5 and pursuing the rat race. You know your worth. So it's more about identifying what you bring to the table. And Africans are smart people. We are exceptional people in whatever we do. So transiting that beyond the walls of the working environment into even investing in yourself and also in your own business is very important, because in the long run, you wouldn't want to remain in, like I said, prioritizing other people's business, whereas you don't have something of your own. That business you are prioritizing, what if you lose the job? What happens? You see, so in as much, that's why I am a fan of financial freedom, because.
But is that suggestive to not give my best when I'm working my 9 to 5? Because I thought we should clarify that. So there's someone listening.
No, not at all.
You're probably saying exactly right. So you're by no means saying not to give my best in my 9 to 5, but at least whatever it is I do, I should always consider I have to mind my business.
Exactly. So whatever profession you are in, that does not, you give your best, of course.
Right.
Be more efficient in what you do, give your best, but that does not mean that you cannot prioritize your own business. Because like I said, we have seen an era, even in the post-COVID era, we've seen people lose their jobs. And that was their only source of life.
It's something we're battling here. We're feeling the impacts of tariffs and all of that. But then again, that's something everyone has to take from what you said so far.
Yeah.
So let me ask: Do you mentor? Do you have people under your wings that you mentor in there? Because again, you're a financial coach and you run the FinTax Academy. Are there people you mentor? Oh yeah. Okay. So looking at the people you've mentored over time, is there something you would find to be a common financial mistake that people make, or maybe even Africans have? Is there something common amongst us Africans?
Yeah, there are quite a number of those things.
Oh, wow, okay.
There are quite a number.
One or two.
One of which is when people tend to live beyond their means. This is very, very important, because I've had people that I consult with, and one of the most common mistakes I see is when people try, because of how they are pressured by social status.
All right.
They tend to want to. There's a term we call it in finance. No, it's a term that is called. It's more about the keeping up with the Joneses.
With the Joneses.
Yeah, it's a phrase.
Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Wow.
Where people try to overly impress, at the expense of their own financial status. So now, it's important that I've seen people that I've consulted with, there is so much debt because of the fact they are trying to live or fill in a shoe that they don't belong. So that is one of the most common mistakes I've seen most Africans get involved in. And it's important to just don't live beyond your means. It's very important to, build your finances systematically and get to that point of financial freedom. Because if you are you see someone today driving a brand new finance car, you don't know what debt the person has involved himself. And you are trying to now compare your own situation to the person's situation. Whereas you know your own financial situation and you know what you are capable of at that point in time. So it's, for me, one of the mistakes is, trying to live beyond your means. And it's important to make sure that you are actually systematically building your finances and taking it to another level. Another mistake, I'll just strip that in, is most people don't budget. It's one of the most common mistakes that most people, not just Africans, but it's based on statistics, has shown that people rather want to do things, as it happens. You get your income, you deal with your, but what budgeting helped me a lot as a person growing up, especially when it had to do with my, when I started my own financial journey.
Right.
Having to budget gave me a plan. It gave me a sense of direction, and I was able to know where my monies are going.
Budgeting gives you a sense of direction.
Yeah, because when you know where the income is coming in and where the expense is going, sometimes, when was the last time you just picked up your bank statement, for example, and just run an audit of your bank statement to just see, okay, what is going through my account? Some people don't even know that they are being, debited and charged for subscriptions that they don't even use. Unused subscriptions.
Yeah.
And when you now go through your statements of account, you now start seeing some figures. You might think that the figures are very small.
Right.
Right? But there's what we call compounding interest, but that's a different aspect. When you start accruing a lot of expenses of that, it might look small on a monthly basis.
Oh, yeah.
But when you sum it in 365 days, that can form a significant part of your total gross income, or let's say net income, which should have been, that part will have been constituted into maybe some investment plan or something else. So these are some of the common mistakes I see when I consult with people. And of course, the ways to actually get rid of all these things is just financial literacy, through getting knowledge, And I keep telling people, you have to listen to financial podcasts, you have to read financial books, You have to get yourself to that point where you are knowledgeable about your finances. You own it. You are intentional about it.
So you were talking about, need for people to learn about finances, budgeting, and I know you run your own podcast. And you talked about books and all of that. Something interesting would also be you being listed on Forbes. You will not just give us a very quick highlight on that.
Yeah, that was it was a very interesting experience I had. That was in 2021 because the Forbes BLK community is a community that is geared towards acknowledging young, promising African entrepreneurs. So it's really basically specific on African entrepreneurs, within the Black community. So I got nominated into that community as a result of the work we do towards financial literacy, because financial literacy is something that we drive in the African community. We try to ensure that people are more informed, especially when it comes to making investment decisions and making confident decisions for their personal finance. So because of some of the services that we offered by the academy, the FinTax Academy, this was something that we got referrals to the BLK, the Forbes BLK community, for which I got this recognition. So it was something that was of a unique experience to me. It was a remarkable one because it was a kind of unique achievement for me.
Congrats again. I know you've heard these congratulations again and again, but truly congrats. And I can tell there's a lot you can, keep saying to everyone, listening. But just to begin to wrap things up, and I'm hoping we can have you yet again on another episode. What's one thing about you most people don't know?
That's funny. There's a lot about me that most people don't know.
Well, I hope you don't give me a short, but that's a lot.
For me, I love to travel. That's one thing I like.
To travel,
and it's something that has it's just the reason for that is one of my moments to really reset. I like to
that was encouraging all of us to take those time. I'm thinking
everyone can do what works best for them. I wouldn't mind if if someone wants to just for me, I just that is one of the ways I reset. To see a new environment. Just
do you have a favorite city or destination? I remember where you are. Remember where you are. Where you're asking these questions.
Look, that's a really tough one. I've been to quite some places that I would consider I had a very nice experience, I would say. For example, when I was in Dubai, it was one of my nice moments. Also, south of France, Nice, precisely, was also a nice experience I had. It's just mainly for me, traveling is not just about seeing places. It's the mental reset it gives to me, because when you change that lunch, right, it helps. Yeah, it helps you, to reset. So that's something that most people don't really know.
That's amazing. Right. But again, I'll say to you, welcome to Canada. Hopefully, Canada is a lot more than you visited, right? In conclusion, what would be that one last message you would want every listener to hold on to? Because they've heard you speak for quite a few minutes now. What's that one message you would want them to always remember?
Wow. Really, the one message I would say is always have a positive mindset towards life. Of course, there's always bound to be challenges. But for me, I always know that challenges is always a stepping stone for greatness. So you don't see the challenge and run away from it. One thing I've seen people, especially some young folks, tend to be scared of is the fear of the unknown. They don't want to step out of their comfort zone because they don't know what is waiting for them at the other side.
Right.
But when it comes to life's challenges, it's important not to just have. You should have a positive mindset towards it, because of course there are bound to be challenges, but you having a positive mindset and chasing your dream, making sure that you're intentional about that, and making sure that you follow through to do something that you get fulfillment in.
Right.
It's very important. In as much as you are doing things, you want to do something that you enjoy fulfillment or you derive fulfillment from. So that's my one word to those are listening to the special episode today.
You've heard from the man. Don't be afraid. Take on that challenge. Mind your business. Learn a lot around your finances. Manage your budget, and then you should have everything sorted out. Thank you so much, Gabriel. It's been a pleasure having you on this episode.
Thanks for having me.
Man.
Thank you.
Yeah.